Rowdy, rowdy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. First thing I'll do is introduce you. This is the Hypixel build team. I'm not going to be doing that much talking today because it's all up to these guys. Champion. So these guys today they're going to be talking about the processes and the thought processes they go through when they're creating all the maps that we use in the Hypixel servers. So I'm going to hand over to this gentleman here, Jamie. Put your hands together for Jamie, please. Build team admin.
Hello. So yeah, our panel is about how we go about building multiplayer maps and all the technical aspects of it as well. But I'll do an introduction to the team for you before we go into it. But I'll go over an overview first. So we're mainly talking, obviously, the technical part. So we've got the team introductions first. Then we're going to the fundamentals of level design, which then we go a bit deeper into that, about the psychology of how level design works. Then we go into the technical aspects of building and then working as a team, and then we open up to a Q&A. So team introductions. I'm Jamie, in-game name is McLovin. So I manage everything pretty much and look after the finances and all back-end stuff. And then we've got Jay Present. He is our developer, basically. He runs all the servers, all plugins that we need and anything like that. He's always there. He's like a mastermind when it comes to server stuff. We've got Billy. He's in charge of the build team, basically. So he assigns projects, make sure they come out on time, and all things like that. Then you've got Blooders. She manages the creative server, and she also manages all the mods and helpers that are on there, trying to find new talent out there. And then we've got two build team here as well. We've got Sark and we have Rodan. And they all have a little bit to talk about their sections. So I'll just pass you over.
Hello, thank you for all turning up for a start, because it's just great you all being here. So I'll be talking about the fundamentals of level design. So this is a picture of the last night on Earth. You may be wondering what it has to do with Minecraft. Well, let me explain. Last Night on Earth is a zombie board game that Hypixel have taken inspiration from to develop a game of their own. And hopefully, this is known better to you as The Blocking Dead. Yay!
You guys play that?
Yeah, shout if you played it. Awesome,
Whoa.
awesome. So, for those of you who don't actually know, Blocking Dead's narrative is a short, bloodthirsty zombie apocalypse that's just broken out. And you want to survive as long as possible before getting saved at a landmark on the map. On the way, you have to collect resources such as ammunition and food to increase your chances of survival against the horde of zombies in the town that you have just crash-landed in. So, narrative is extremely important in some of our levels because it's a key part of level design. Simplistic narrative may be used to help capture the imagination and player immersion in a level. So how does this board game relate at all to The Blocking Dead? So this is the bird's eye view of the board game The Last Night on Earth. At the center is a swamp. Positioned around it are a school, bank, junkyard, farmhouse, church, graveyard, and finally, police station. This, on the other hand, is the bird's eye view of the map, The Blocking Dead. You may notice that they nearly look alike in layout. That's because they're nearly exactly the same. We have tried to incorporate the same scale in the board game as in-game. We carry this out by referring to the board game's grid system, as can be seen by here. There's a white grid system actually on the board game. So the sports hall takes up 2x2 squares on the board game. If we were to translate in Minecraft, how would we do this? Well, we'd make one square equal one chunk, which comprises of 16 by 16 blocks. We'll perform this technique on the whole map, just as you can see here. So earlier I spoke about how key narrative can sometimes be in our levels. In Blocking Dead, narrative helps to increase the meaning behind landmarks such as the church and the police station, which will be, so what I mean by this is a police station will be easier to find ammunition in, which you've been longing to shoot down zombies with.
So you're, sorry, believe. So you're identifying areas and granting the player with a level of common sense, so they look at the place and say, let them figure out
Exactly.
where they should go, like a farm,
So
maybe a good place for food as well, or
so there's some identification, and so the player understands and can relate to in real life. So there's some, it can relate to a police station where they will know how to find ammunition, and say a church, there are more potions and health packs. Okay? So narrative is a great way to increase the impact of landmarks or the latter focal points to tell a story. In The Blocking Dead, one of the key development features was ensuring that a landmark could be clearly identified from wherever they are in the map, either by signposting or structural features of a landmark. The best example that we've seen as on the slide is the spire, which can be seen easily from all positions in the map due to lighting, the silhouette outline, and the actual height of the spire. This allows players to easily identify where other landmarks are in respect to the spire and start pre-planning a route around in the map. They may use the landmarks, such as a spire, to help get their bearings around the map.
so it's really navigation. So it makes the map a little bit easier to learn.
Exactly.
So when you're looking around, you can say, oh, there's a church there. So you just know when I turn this much, I'm going to face the police station.
So they can orientate themselves easily, so they're not confused. The latter part of the game establishes an objective to get to a specific area to be saved. The stated area, for example, the bank, will now become a focal point. The player will search for the focal point and identify the B sign, which signifies the bank. The player will pre-plan a route before heading on their way to get to the area. And again, players will use other landmarks nearby to navigate themselves. This is why it is key to ensure that landmarking can be identified by all audiences. It should not be complex. Use landmarks and focal points to allow players to get their bearings and plan out routes of their own in the map. So as you can see from the previous slides, another key element within a level is lighting. Lighting is essential in a map as it can affect the tone and the player experience. Lighting can sometimes be a limiting factor in Minecraft, with there being so few ways to cleverly light an area. In The Blocking Dead, we have used lighting to help create a scene for mood and eeriness, but also to add another dimension, animation through use of the torches, and contrast. Lighting is placed mainly around and on the landmarks, adding more contrast to the dark and surrounding area, making it a stronger and more identifiable landmark. Using this effective lighting will create a player immersion like no other. The area must feel real in order to establish a connection between the playable area and the player. So therefore they can get their bearings and navigate around the area. So level designers overall must make sure that lighting is used effectively, so it isn't underplaced or overplaced in level, so that the right mood is achieved. In The Blocking Dead, it achieves a setting of fear, but also some excitement as well. Blocking Dead has achieved this by the use of saturated colors, so that means bright colors and blocks that we use. But it also scales down to very dark, unsaturated colors, which are more dark, grimy colors. So that gives the tone of a more darker feel. So we try to come over as if a zombie apocalypse has just broken out. The mood of fear is also brought about by the dark setting, low and scarce placement of light. As if you played on the map, then you'll understand that the lighting is redstone torches just to try and tone down the lighting effect of torches. There's low visibility and there's hard lighting. Excitement, however, is also achieved as a mood in respect to that the apocalypse has just begun and there is still a sense of chaos. For instance, seeing overturned cars, road blockages, and so on. So there are many aspects of level design which Sarcastic will go on to explain soon, but the Blocking Dead is a very special map to me. It taught me the key principles of level designing and was the first of many projects to develop and enhance my skills further. It mainly encompassed developing skills of navigation and orientation, as you've seen me talk about, and player psychology. The Blocking Dead case study is excellent for beginners, like I myself once was, and level designing is a huge spectrum of different subjects, and Blocking Dead only touches the surface of it, but in a very impressive way. Therefore, when designing a map such as this for multiplayer, ensure that you are clear where your sources of inspiration lie. Gather information and understand the game you want to make. Decide upon how much you want to expand upon your source of inspiration and develop your ideas. Start to think about focal points and landmarks. Ensure that they can be identified easily from multiple positions in the map so that your players can pre-plan their own routes. Use shapes and lighting to create moods and light up landmarks to help navigate players and to encourage them to move in a general direction, whether it be clockwise or anti-clockwise. The points above have helped me and will hopefully help yourselves to better understand the basic fundamentals in level designing. Thank you. I'll just pass you over to Sark now.
Billy, thank you very much indeed. So, please, Billy, Dark Aces. So what I hope you're getting a feeling for so far is the fact that there's a big difference between just putting blocks down in Minecraft and actually creating a level in Minecraft, something that somebody has to play. And Billy has covered the fundamentals, so I'm going to hand over now to Jan, Sarcastic Burger, who's going to talk a wee bit more about the whole psychology side. We'll actually dig a wee bit deeper. Just go ahead, just speak.
Oh, right. So I'll be giving you a basic idea of the psychology, the player psychology in terms of level design. We try to use when building and how the field of view can be used as a powerful tool in designing levels. I'll start with stress the use of lighting in this subject, the tightness of a space, and the height or angle of a structure, or visible keys. Yeah, visible keys.
You press that.
Lighting is very important in games. Obviously, you'll need to be able to see, but that's not the only feature about lighting. Lighting can guide players towards their goal. For example, the light at the end of this tunnel, right, the cave.
So you're saying that you could use light to actually just draw the player's attention? Or
Yep.
Yep, okay.
So in that way, you can highlight objectives, as Billy said, and yeah, so, well, the rest of this cave is pretty hard to see, so if there's a guy in the corner, you can't really see him, he will, the player will have to feel cautious about going through that.
So the player they may hear something, so you may have like an audio cue for the player. Oh, something's in this room, but because the way you've lit the room, you want them to feel that fear. So you're getting in under their skin. So the creature may be in the corner, spawn in the corner for you, but you've got it lit so you can't see that corner, and just the player walks in, all they hear is the noise. So
right.
that's what you're pushing at here.
So yeah, there's this atmosphere that you can change, and you can use the lighting to change the atmosphere of a room, and in this case the cave, but that's a bit, up to the level designer to decide whether you want players to go inside the cave or not. Sorry.
So you want to talk a wee bit about how maybe even something as subliminal as the way a wall is rotated or the size of a door gameplay footprint, maybe the way that sort of operates?
Yeah, I guess the tightness of a space, but that's the next slide I'll be going through. So this is a pipeline in one of the maps for Cops and Crims game mode. So you don't, this is kind of the thing with, lost it, the tunnel. have a very limited field of view, so you're kind of stuck in this claustrophobic space and you don't know where to go. So that gives this claustrophobic feeling to the player, and you have no idea if you if you want to cross that, because it's dangerous staying in there. In the Cops and Crim game mode, people will, you could be shot in the back, so that's a bit of the risk you're taking by going through that tunnel.
So by basically, when we talk about field of view, it's how many degrees of sight that a player has, and it's usually between 70 and 90, depending on, or even 60, depending on their settings in Minecraft. So what happens, as Jan was telling you in this example, is that if you decrease a viewing frosting for a player, they immediately begin to feel more tense, and their field of vision, or where they want to look, is either directed straight ahead or straight backwards. The tighter that field of view gets crushed, the more they want to move forward and keep pressing forward to get out of that, so they can widen their view again. And it makes them feel at a disadvantage. So again, you're getting under the skin of the player. Well done, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Next slide. So yeah, there's the shape and angle of walls that can make a place feel different, or a room. The size, obviously, it will have to be proportionate to the game you're building it for. You don't want a huge building in paintball when it has no use whatsoever. If there's no objective in it, you don't want to make it too big because there's no reason to. The height of a structure can influence the way you react to it. So when you have a very horizontal long wall, you will try to follow this wall. So if there's this curiosity, you don't know what's behind the wall, and you're going to want to follow it because of these horizontal lines. They're trying to guide you towards.
So what you're saying is that when you come to like the end of a corridor or something, and you see a big long flat wall, it drags your gaze either left or right, as opposed to up and down. So that it kind of pulls the player one way or another. Yeah.
Yeah. So the vertical walls, in contrast to that, they're just going. Well, the lines are going towards the sky, so it will seem lighter than the horizontal wall, and bigger, so it could be an objective or something. But yeah, that's about. No, hold on, not yet. The angle of a wall does. Well, it's important as well, because you want to have. If you have this wall curving towards the player, your field of view, you will move the cursor downwards a bit. So it's pretty difficult to explain, but.
So what you're saying is, if you, like you guys now, if all you guys walked towards a wall that was angled like that, it would draw your eye towards the bottom of the bottom of the ground where the wall joins the floor, because that's just, you're naturally inclined. It's like playing at the top of a set of stairs. Obviously you're pre-programmed to kind of look down towards where you have to go. And the same could be said for the other way, yeah. So if the wall was leading away, they have a more tendency to kind of look back.
Exactly, yeah. You'll lean back and obviously move a bit upwards. So you can create, if you have rough terrain, you'll want to do that. So it feels more dynamic than just a plain field or something. So visual keys. Basically, this means that every single level, scene, or room contains information for the player. Even if it's a simple hallway or respawn location, you need to decide what information to give to the player and how this will influence their actions. You don't want them to become lost or disoriented after spawning. In Mega Walls, for example, the resources should be easy to find from the spawn location. The mines shouldn't be hidden somewhere behind or below the castle. That will probably also cause issues with World Guard, but that's another story. So you choose what information is being sent, and you can send pretty much any message. But too much information can cause confusion, so the message should be clear and simple. As an example, I've made this cave entrance. No, not the cave. Yeah, it's a cave entrance. To show some of the differences. Well, the keys that are present in this picture. Alright, it did work. So this is a very. Is this? This image shows a rather disturbing scene, perhaps, with lava and skulls and everything. So you're sending the player a message like, this is a dangerous area. You're entering a different space that shouldn't be safe at all. So you don't know what's behind the corner either, because, yeah, you can't see it. So you have to make a choice whether you're going to enter it or not. And the visual keys can change the way players react to that.
So really, the important thing there is that what you've done when they get to that space is that you've actually asked the player to ask of themselves a question. And
do I want to enter this area?
Do I want to enter? And I think that is where the magic lies. If you can get the player to put themselves in a situation and then they ask a question, your job as a level designer is done. Because if they walk through a level and they don't ask themselves any questions, am I going to be hurt when I walk in here? Is this the fastest route I should go? Those choices are what makes a level enjoyable. So that's a great example.
Another brilliant example I found is in, well, relating back to landscapes again, it's landmarks, sorry. Landmarks are so key and also visual keys, and maybe in an adventure map, as Sark said earlier, you don't want to overcrowd it and you want to only have maybe 1 or 2 landmarks in the distance, and those visual keys will be identification for the player to go towards that landmark. That will be the route they will pre-plan and will want to go on. So you don't want any other landmarks around it or any, so say you have a castle in the background, you don't want to have to something left or right that will draw their attention as well, because otherwise that will conflict with them and they will think that they'll have to go left, they won't know where to go. Whereas if there's 1 visual key or maybe 2 right in front of you, then the player will know to go in that direction.
Couldn't have said it better. So, yeah, that's about it, I guess, for visual keys. Then there's the field of view blocking. Basically, this means that you have this field of view and you can block it so with obstacles, or, for example, so in Blitz,
So this is more PvP oriented kind of stuff,
PvP,
yeah.
exactly.
So this is where you're providing fields of fire and obstacles for guys to jump behind and make sure they're not shot and.
So when there's a guy with a bow and you have these obstacles, people will get behind them, you can't see them, you can't shoot them. So that's literally blocking everything, including the view.
So do any guys play Skywars? Give us a whoop.
Louder. Thank you.
So, have any of you been in a situation where you've got a bow, you're feeling quite powerful, and then you get hit by somebody else who also has a bow, and you get into a bit of a bow fight?
Come on, louder.
Yeah. Woo! And you play Hypixel maps, yeah? Has there been cover? Has there been stuff you can do? Well, it's kind of crack, yeah. Yep, that's exactly what we're talking about here. So it's a PvP cover system, and pulling in fields of view and expanding fields of view. That's a great example there, thank you.
Yeah, field of view can be either natural or physical. So natural, it may be landscape that you use as to block something as a field of view so you can't see something, or it could also be a crate or something like in CVC, which you use just to hide away from guns or a bow and arrow or something like that.
Right, thanks. I think that was it.
Okay, next we're going to hand over to JP, who's going to talk about the technical aspects of the build team. Okay, JP.
Okay, so when you build a map, it's important to consider that there's more than just beauty in a build. Jamie, could you flip this? No, previous one. Okay, so when you make a map, however beautiful it is, there's always problems that can arise. In this plot made by a player on the creative server called Davey, He has made the entrance to the Dwarven Mountains of the movie The Hobbit. Now, as you can see in the top, parts of the dwarf statues seem to be missing. They're not, but it's actually just the chunks not loading. This is one of the things you really need to think about when you're building a map.
So, JP, when you say the chunks aren't loading, is that sort of visual optimization that is done in Minecraft to stop, to help performance, or what is a chunk exactly?
A chunk is, on the server side, a 16 times 16 times 265 in height piece of the world. But when it gets sent to the client, it's actually a 16 times 16 times 16 block of blocks.
Okay, so but what I'm saying here is basically he's built it too big.
Yeah.
So far away that it won't actually even draw it for the player.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting to right now. Can you flip the slide? Yeah. No? Back. Yes. Okay. So this is just as a small example. This is my internet cable. As you can see, I do not have great internet. I only have 500 kilobytes per second download speed, which usually results in me having a lot of lag in games. And, well, has anybody here had lag? Probably you have, yeah?
Oh, get the hands!
Obviously.
No!
Yeah. Okay, and who of you likes having lag? Exactly what I expected. Okay, so yeah, Soko obviously loves having lag, but the others don't. Jimmy, could you flip the slide? Now, this is an example of the Skywars lobby in Hypixel. To be precise, the Soul Well. The Soul Well is a pretty complicated thing when you think about it, because when the Soul Well is being sent to the player, it first has to be loaded by the server, which could lag out the server, but since it's not that big, it doesn't. But then it gets sent through the internet, which takes up data, and then it needs to be taken into your computer, and your computer needs to show it on your screen, which can also cause lag. So here we have the three different types of lag covered. You have the ticks per second that are being affected, you have the internet that is being affected, and you have your client that is being affected. Builders really need to think through what they're building before they start building it. And for example, if we would duplicate this Soul Well, it would take a huge extra amount of data for Hypixel. And we'll simply ask you guys now, what is the most laggy thing according to you in Hypixel? Sean, can you pass the microphone to, does anybody have an idea?
Does anybody want to, what's the most laggy, what, game mode? Or
no, an
object
inside of Minecraft, like entities or particles.
Okay, okay, this dude, no, I know you know. Who did I go to? Who's got their hand up? Whoa, what's the most laggy object in Minecraft?
One time I was playing Hypixel, the Galaxy Wars, and sometimes just the bullets get laggy.
Bullets, that's a very good answer actually, because of how the bullets were done, if I'm not mistaken, JP.
Okay, well, a bullet is actually an entity flying around in Galaxy Wars. So basically what you usually see as an arrow or an egg has been retextured in Galaxy Wars to look like a bullet. And well, I've calculated it, and an entity has an approximate size of about 180 bytes. And that is not the biggest thing out there. So, who else has an idea?
That's cool. You're going to make me run again. Really? You, sir.
I think particles, sometimes when I'm using them, the client nearly crashes.
Okay, I'm actually going to stay out here, JP, just in case you keep on doing this. Right?
No, this was the last one. Okay, particles, in size of internet data, they're only about 41 bytes large. So again, no, they're not the most laggy thing. Maybe on your computer if it can't handle it. But I will just spoil the answer. The actual most laggy thing inside of Minecraft are the chunks. When you send a chunk from the server to the client, so one of those 16 times 16 times 16 blocks, those are approximately 12,400 bytes, which is 80 times the size of an armor stand, for example. So these Soul Wells take approximately 8 of those chunk sections, which then again, with the armor stands inside of that beautiful Death Angel, and the particles with it, add up to 110,000 bytes being sent to you, which is 110 kilobytes. Now, we have 10,000 players on average playing on Skywars. Have you guys all played Skywars? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, louder, come on. Yeah? Okay. Yeah? Okay, so let's say, it has never happened before in my knowledge, but let's say Skywars crashes and everybody gets routed to the lobby.
JP, wash your mouth. Sorry.
I told you, I don't think it's ever happened before. But let's just say it happens one time. And 10,000 players end up in the lobby at the same time. All those 10,000 players get those 8 chunk sections and those 30 armor stands and 140 particles sent to them. That's 1 gigabyte of data that has to be sent. So imagine us having 2 soul wells in a lobby. That would be an extra gigabyte of data. Builders need to think about what they're building in a lobby so it doesn't lag out too much. And the soul well is a perfect example of that. Could you, okay. So, chunks are pretty large, as I just explained. But for some reason, in Hypixel, you never really see them loading. Do you guys know why it is? Well, I'm going to explain it now, even if you do. That sign there, in the Warlord's lobby, it shows epic weapons, but it's not really there to point you in any direction. It's just in a straight corridor. So why would we put that there? Well, the answer is simple. That sign covers the chunks loading. So you actually don't see the chunks loading in the background behind that sign.
So what you're saying is that sign is there specifically to stop anybody seeing stuff being loaded in behind it, yeah?
Exactly, yeah. Okay, could you switch again? Now, here, have you guys played Turbo Kart Racers? You probably have, maybe in, yeah? Okay. This is a small section of the map Olympus. And there's a huge Zeus statue in the middle of the road, which forces you to either go left around it or right around it. And, well, yeah, why didn't the Greeks just drill a hole under it? That's simple, to stop chunks from being visibly loaded. You go around the corner because the chunks are being loaded while you are driving around that corner. So you don't see them loading, but actually they are.
That's a great example, JP. So what you're saying is even before the builders actually start really decorating a scene or level, they've already thought about, and this is actually down to how a track is laid out in Turbo Kart. It's a great example. A track is laid out, then you have to consider, you know, big drops or things, by just basically making them turn left or turn right. Yeah.
Yep.
Very good.
And it's also nice for gameplay, of course. But Jamie, could you? Okay. So now we're back at this, and I have just explained you how those chunks are loading. And I hope that you will never make the mistake of making something so beautiful, but making it too large for the chunks to actually load. Next slide, please. Okay, so this plane is pretty normal, right? Also in Turbo Kart Racers in the map Hypixel GP. It looks beautiful and it's pretty normal from the ground. But actually it's not. Jamie, could you show us? This plane is really short and pretty fat, to be honest. It's just visually from the ground, it looks normal, but when you look at it, how it actually is, it isn't.
So the bulletin very cleverly used perspective to change how something appears. They stay within those parameters.
The build team has used the perspective here to use less chunks than are actually needed to fit in a whole plane inside of a map. And it looks perfectly normal from where you are playing. Next slide, please. Now, another important thing that we do at Hypixel to stop you, the server from sending you too much data is that we cut off parts of the map. Now, this is an overview of Hypixel GP. And as you can see, there's a few villages around it and grass, and it's not actually there anymore in the Hypixel maps because we cut that part of the map off, and it now looks like this. So you now have a beautiful map with an ocean and no more chunks loaded and being sent than actually needed. Next slide, please. Another important part of gameplay is, of course, the visual lag on your computer. As was said earlier about the particles do not really lag your connection, but they do lag your client because your computer has to draw them on your screen. Leaves have the same problem. Even if you change your render settings from fancy to normal, the leaves still let light through, and your computer needs to calculate where the light comes. Now, to stop that, it's pretty easy. You just take out a bunch of leaves. We don't make massive roofs of leaves. There's basically just a simple line with a few blocks inside of it. And it looks normal when you look at it at first, but when you look closer, you actually see that there's a bunch of blocks missing in it. So knowing which blocks you can remove that are useless is very important. Next slide, please. You may know this map. It's in Blitz, it's in Pixelville, the paint factory. While we were building this, we actually had big problems with it because I have a pretty decent computer when it comes to frames. But even when I ran past this corridor looking at this paint factory, my frames dropped to only 40 frames per second. Now, at first, this paint factory was completely made out of different colors of stained glass. And stained glass, when your computer has to draw it, uses up multiple colors and is through visible at the same time. So your computer really has trouble drawing it. Now, what we did to solve that was that we changed most of the stained glass to normal glass. So your computer doesn't use all of those different colors anymore. It just uses one. And that makes it way more efficient. Next slide, please. Now, there's also an important part in building, which is common sense.
JP, can I stop you there for 1 second?
Yeah.
Do any of you guys know exactly what you're looking at? Chickens! Very good, very good. Sorry, JP, go ahead.
Okay, so these are about 500 chickens on one block, frozen. And, well, you could make amazing pillars with those, or maybe like tops of buildings, and, well, why wouldn't you do that? Well, the answer is simple. This is an absolute lag machine. It lags the server because of all the chickens wanting to move, but actually that is being cancelled by the server. Then all of those 500 chickens have to be sent to your computer, which takes up a lot of data, those 180 bytes per chicken. And then, of course, your client, which has to determine how to rotate and draw all of those chickens in one place. Now, I have never seen this anywhere on any server, but just as an advice, do not use a pile of 500 chickens for decoration. Okay, well, that's all. I'm gonna pass.
JP, please put your hands together for JP. That was bad. Sorry, Blooders, 1 wee second. 1 wee second. Blooders, before you start. Bloods, before you start. As we're going to have a Q&A session at the end, I want you guys to start thinking about what you want to ask these guys, okay? There will be a prize, as there was with our last workshop, for the best question. One of these fantastic game bands, okay? So have a little think about what you guys want to talk about or what you want to ask us. And next up, we have Blooders.
Hi. Oh my.
So we're talking about basically the whole kind of back-end process of actually coming up with our teams, and I'm going to shush.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, so what I'm basically going to talk to you guys is about working as a team, as the very nice slide is telling you all, and the general process that we use for making our maps. So basically, these guys have been telling you all about level design and the going into detail about all this stuff, but I'll just be going through the general overview of everything. So if you can, there you go. So what are like the key 3 things to remember when creating a map? So we have design and gameplay, we have the terrain portion, and we have the structure portion. This kind of already gives you an idea of how we actually space out what we build when we build it. So if you could be very kind. First, we need to find a team, but we actually need to find a game mode first, because usually the network admins come to us and say, hey, we really want to be doing this map this month or something like that. But yeah. But right now, I think we're going to leave it up to you guys to decide what we're going to talk about now. So if you guys could shout out your favorite game. What's your favorite game? Warlords. Oh my god.
There's always one.
Yeah, warlords. Okay, so warlords, there's generally quite a few people working on warlords maybe, but for a regular map, we have about 3 to 4 people. That's why you have the 4 lovely people up on the screen right now. First we have a project lead, which is someone who basically leads everything, really.
Yeah, they basically boss all our guys around. Like.
Yeah. We'll have someone who does terrain, so a terraformer, and we'll have builders for structures and general little key features. So could you do it? Thank you. So meeting the team, we have the project leader who is, click the button. Who mainly knows more than anybody else in the team about level design. I mean, all of our builders are really great. They've got great knowledge about all of the stuff that they do generally, otherwise we wouldn't really want them on the team. And they know more about gameplay mechanics, and they have basically a knack for leadership, because you need that. Then we have the terraformer, who is basically the best at doing terrain and organics. And then we have the builders who are doing all of the structures, all of the little fine details, and just generally finishing off everything on the map.
I want to stop you there, but can you describe a wee bit what you mean by organics? Is that just like...
Organics is just like, it can range from trees to structures, yeah, totally, to statues. Or, I mean, if you want to build animals or anything like that. For example, the Zeus statue in the Turbo Kart Racer map, Olympus, that's classed as an organic, even though it's a statue.
Right, so it's something that emulates a more natural form or a sculpted form, or something like a piece of art. Or
Yeah. So, starting the process, we have 2 pictures up on the screen. Yeah, thank you. The first one is actually what we go and do first. A lot of the builders will take to pen and paper, or even just paint on the computer, anything, to basically just draw a rough outline of how the map's going to look from like a bird's eye view, or any key points of gameplay in their maps. This is for the Olympus map, actually, for Turbo Kart Racer. It is a popular theme tonight, I think. And this isn't actually the final look of how it came to be, because we do go back and change a lot of stuff. The second picture is actually a show of how we spaced out the tracks. So those are actually 16 by 16 chunks. And it's how we spaced out the tracks to figure out how big they should be, how far they'll go, etc.
The reason for that, especially with Turbo Kart Racers, was because we had to get an idea of the velocity of the car, or the car, how quickly it could turn, and basically how long it would take you to go around a map. So we kind of decided, okay, well, we're going to travel at 16 blocks a second. And that was kind of our base value. Now, obviously, things, as blurry as this is, they do change as we go on.
Yeah. The main thing as well is that we build the maps to go around the code that the kind developers make for the games and stuff. We don't build the maps before the games are actually made or anything. Games are made and then they're like, hey, we want this map, please. And we build the maps just to sort of fit around. So all of our builders generally know how the game's going to be played, any important things like, for example, jump pads or drops or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's basically we have to make sure that the build team know exactly what toys they have to play with when they're making any sort of level. So in Turbo Karts, they know they have jump pads, they know what sort of weapons they'll have and how they track and things, and how fast the cars go. And Turbo Karts is a very good example, because it's one of the only projects where the guys were able to actually test the map as they were building it. So they were building in a live environment where the game code was running, and they could literally go /kart start, jump on a cart and go around a corner and say, yep, that was okay. Let's trim a wee bit off there, and then just jump back on the cart and try it again. So that was a great process, good example.
Yeah. Carry on. Thank you. So after that, we go into filling in the layouts. So we should have some pictures of terrain here. Basically, the terraformer then goes in, making sure he keeps the main layout still off to the side somewhere so they don't forget where everything's going. And we fill in all of the layouts with terrain. And then the builders will go in and just top everything up with the structures, and the terraformers will then, or the person in charge of organics will go in and put in the organics afterwards. Thank you. So, about this teamwork, it's really important.
He's so dead after this presentation, I know I don't.
I don't know why we give him this.
You're in trouble, mate.
Organization is key for teamwork, ironically. So the way we do this is I have no idea how many Skype chats for all of our stuff. I think on average we have about 5 Skype chats with just spam in it. But there is a lot of Skype chats that we do. We're very active on TeamSpeak. It's important to stay in contact and stay in touch with a lot of your team, preferably all of them. A lot of the ways, we have nights where we just play games and stuff like that. The important thing is making sure that your team sort of knows each other, and not just working on like a professional level, but sort of making sure that
they know each other and can instinctively know what they're, not so much what they're thinking, but what they're going to be doing next.
Yeah. On the Hypixel build team, we generally think of each other more as, team, groups and stuff like that. With family, yeah, we think of ourselves more of a family than anything like that. Some people, as they say, you don't really choose your family, but but yeah, no, it's really important to make sure that you know each other very well, so you know all of the strengths and weaknesses, so you can put together a team for a project, and that's how we have. But the thing I'd like to tell everyone is to always challenge yourself. A perfect way of how we've done things in the past is just getting everybody to go into randomized teams of doing build battles, getting them to compete with each other. A bit of friendly competition isn't too bad every now and then. So just keep challenging yourself. If you're not comfortable with something, just push yourself.
I'm going to ask, it's part of the team building thing, I'm going to ask a question. Is it true that you guys have a karaoke night on a Friday?
Maybe. Maybe, very, very true. We have some people in the audience that organize karaoke events for the Hypixel server.
Who's that?
I think.
Put your hand up.
Do you want to put your hand up? Yeah. Yeah. There's, oh my God, it's so hilarious. I think we haven't heard you sing yet, Sean.
I'm far too awesome.
Maybe tonight.
But yeah.
I'm not. Really so bad.
Hopefully tonight.
But yeah, no, just have fun with everything. I mean, there's no point on doing anything if you're not having fun with it, so.
If we just interject now, I've only been with Hypixel for about 3.5 months, and one of the things that I've really enjoyed has been working with these guys. So I'm the kind of the guy that tells these guys what stuff's coming up and explains to them the mechanics and stuff to the game, and then Billy usually puts together the teams, and I get the teams and get them briefed, and it's been a fantastic and wonderful process. I've never seen a bunch of guys who largely don't really meet each other very much and never really talk to each other face to face that get on so well. It's a lovely thing to see. But the way you guys recruit and get new builders is done usually through the creative server. I'm going to ask you about that in a second. Unfortunately, our creative server's down at the moment, but it's going to be back up in the next day or two. But can you tell us a bit about that whole recruitment process?
The recruitment process?
Yes. Or is that going to be another slide?
Basically, we have a creative server that is hosted very kindly on the Hypixel network. If you're in any lobby You can't do it mid-game, thank goodness. So people can't, troll you, being like, oh, if you want creative mode, just go do/creative. You can go into any lobby and just type /creative, and you'll be sent to a creative server, which my staff handle, and everyone's really nice and friendly. But the process is that you just basically build. You're there to build and to learn things, improve stuff, and we recruit from there. So moderators or our helpers or something will go, hey, blotters, this one guy, his username is like Mike 24/7 or something. He's really good at this, and I'll sort of start shouting at Billy to go take a look at it, or Sean to go take a look at it, and that's basically how we do.
Yeah, it's great. So that's why anybody who gets involved with Hypixel has a chance of actually, making a bit of money out of this. If I can be completely mercenary about it. So these guys are always looking, as am I, for talent in any discipline at all, not just building. So if you've got like a good sound engineer, or you do tinker with sounds or videos, we're always interested in seeing content from everybody. But this is a very unique thing I think they've got going here. And it's not just these guys on the Hypixel build team. They have so many helpers who are going to raise a hand up and say, come and see this, this guy is amazing, this girl is amazing. And it's happened already 2 or 3 times. I've only been there 12 weeks. And I think 2 guys already have come through that the hand's been raised and they've been brought in.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful experience. How'd you?
I think that's it for me. I don't remember putting anything else on the stuff. No, there you go.
Before we start the Q&A, can I just say thank you to Sean and also Noxy D, who's in the crowd somewhere, from the build team, and the build team who can't be here tonight. Just a huge round of applause for them, because without these 2 people, a lot of the build team would not be here, because they are our teachers and they have taught us the level design that we find in the maps on Hypixel and some of the games you play on. They're amazing people and they don't get the thanks that they deserve. So, huge round of applause.
I'm going to kill you. I didn't know they were going to say that. Thank you, Billy, so much. Right, now I'm completely and suitably embarrassed. We're going to throw the floor up into some questions. I think, you know what, I'm going to run because it's better crack than just getting people to queue up. Right, let's start with you, young sir. Oh, what's your name? Where are you from?
Joaquin, and I am from Argentina.
Argentina, guys, wow. And what's your question?
And why did you decide to name the server Hypixel?
I'll take that one. Hypixel is actually the gamer tag of the guy who created the whole thing. So there's a guy called Hypixel, And do you play in a server? Have you ever seen Hypixel on the server? He's very, very secret. Nobody knows it. I don't even know what it looks like. All in his game avatar, I see him in game, but nobody's seen him. He's very, very secret. But he's awesome. Next, let's see. I have to come back up here so I can see everybody. There's a very enthusiastic young chap there. Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hello, what's your name?
My name is Caleb. I'm from Massachusetts. Wow. How do you kind of buckle down and build the amazing custom maps that have been built? Like, Herobrine 2, the Herobrine series, those were amazing custom maps, especially for their time. How do you buckle down and build them? I've tried to build custom maps before, but it's like impossible.
So the question is how do we really bear down and get them finished quickly? Yeah. And he's mentioned the Herobrine stuff, so I want to throw this one to Rodan. So.
Hello, it's working? Yeah. Okay, so basically you have to just put your mind into it and just work at it, and just keep going at it, because if you have to set yourself a deadline so you don't take forever. Oh, there you go. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Okay, so basically just keep going at it, and you need to set out a deadline, so you have the map finished by this set date, or it's very, very common that you just keep working on it, and you're just pushing it forwards. So
having a
mind to
team
it.
structure there as well. There's actually teams for a particular map. So having a project lead there must help as well, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, somebody cracking them up as well. Okay, let's go for... Oh, you're very close, so hello, sir. And what's your question?
My question is, how do you decide how many players you're going to put in a map?
That is more to do with when we are creating game modes. When we come up with, when Hypixel come up with a game mode, we say this is going to be a mega mode, where there may be 100 players, or it's going to be a mini mode with anything less than 28. So that's kind of decided at the very, very start. So what kind of game mode do we think our community needs them at? And that's kind of one of the most basic questions we ask ourselves before we actually go any further. You know, so it's done right at the start. Depends on the mode though. So, hello.
Now that you're doing adventure maps again, and now you're accepting public adventure maps, have you seen any really good ones?
Have you guys had any involvement with adventure stuff yet? Because it's still fairly fresh, and I would be more on the kind of new things, or other than adventure maps, the kind of the PvP sort of side of things. I know Rez has been looking at a lot of stuff, so, and he's been quite impressed, but I couldn't give you specifics, I'm sorry. I'm going to go for... Right, here we go. Bet you thought you would never get asked. What's your name, kid?
Nye.
Hey, man.
What would be one of your most favourite mini games on the Hypixel server?
I'm going to throw that one to Jan. What is your favourite game?
I think it's Mega Walls.
Any Mega Walls fans on here, yeah?
Because I love creating maps for it. It's really my favorite game mode, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go for you, sir.
Hi, sorry, let me just open my phone because I wrote it down.
Uh-oh. Yes, please.
When Hypixel released Build Battle, about 24 hours or longer later, Mineplex released an identical game mode. Instantaneously, as Hypixel released Skywars, Mineplex did the same. I want to know, is there some sort of warfare going on between you two?
Okay, I'll take that one. It's not the first time that this sort of thing's come up, but the fact of the matter is, you see how fast we turn out content, yeah? If we stopped and began looking around what everybody else was doing, it would destroy us. We have to stay focused on what we are. Hypixel brings out quality content. That's why we have a very, very high bar. We don't really particularly want to get involved with anything like that. We just don't really pay attention. Simple as that. Thank you. Right. Yo, young sir.
What tools do you use to make the maps? Do you use computer programs to make it for you, or do you do it by hand? And if so, you do it by hand, couldn't you create a computer program that would, where you would set the parameters, say like light levels or how big, and then it would make it for you? Wouldn't that be better?
JP, I hope you got that, dude.
Okay, so we use a variety of different programs, some of them custom made by me or other people. And we use those to make maps, which is generally you set a radius and a huge circle appears, or technical blocks like the all-sided logs. Those aren't actually obtainable anymore in 1.8, but you need separate plugins to get those. So yes, we do use a lot of custom software for that. You can actually check some of it out on the creative server. Most of what we use on the build server is also on the creative server.
Yeah, so you guys log on to Hypixel, come and see us. The guys will talk you through all this stuff, you know. We have time for one more, so I'm put a gargantuan effort into this one. There's someone actually waving, pointing at somebody else. Right, well, obviously I have to go, right. Where am I going? Who was the first person who was pointed at? Yes, okay. My spider senses are tingling. Hello, sir.
Hi there. I'd like to ask this question to Billy, and I was just wondering, how does working with Hypixel compare to working on other build teams?
You guys have had a long and checkered history. You want that one, Billy?
Sure.
Go for it.
Hypixel is a brilliant place to work at because the community, I find, is like no other. We really relate to each other and we work together succinctly. I'm very careful about who I put on the build team because there has to be a process of which I need to ensure that we work along well together and that I am able to say to somebody that, hey, that's not so good, maybe think about putting this in instead, and there has to be that relationship and that they don't get angry with me. So in comparison of other build teams, whereas they may have got offended because I said it, when actually I was trying to be constructive and trying to improve the map or the level design. So from my perspective, it's a lot better in that sense.
Yeah, well, there's a great culture of nurture in Hypixel, from everything from the creative stuff right through the games that we put up, and it's something we're terribly proud of. And after all the gaming experience that I've had when just coming to Minecraft lately, and the Minecraft community in general are a very loving, caring sort of community. Very quickly band together for these fantastic relationships. Guys, unfortunately we have run out of time, but before we leave, young man, yes, you, that asked me the question. Sorry, this young man here. Who was asking me about, yes, it was you. What was your question again?
About do they use handmade or...
About tools. Young man, would you like to follow me if it's okay? Big round of applause. Congratulations, kid. Guys, thank you very much. Can you please put your hands together for the Hypixel team? Amu TV, thank you very much.